just leads. We never switch off the jets. I really want to encourage you to never switch off the jets. I see a lot of businesses where they run a little campaign, 600 leads come in and they go, oh, we can never talk to all those people. We better turn off the marketing. And then they go through the 600 and then all of a sudden it kind of dissipates and then they go, oh, now we better turn the marketing back on. You don't want to be doing that. You want to leave the marketing campaigns on full throttle all the time. Even if you don't get back to people, it's because you're busy, it's because we're so swamped, we've got so many opportunities coming in, right? We're drowning in leads. You want to be drowning in leads.
On this week's episode of the ScaleX Insider, we're mixing it up with something a little bit different. We're sharing a session from our recent ScaleX Summit. It's Ireland's largest business scaling event that we host to inspire, connect and enable ambitious leaders of SMEs to scale with purpose. This week's podcast episode features Daniel Priestley, a best-selling author and entrepreneur known for his expertise in scaling businesses, who wowed the attendees at the summit. Why should you listen? Well, Daniel today dives into from zero to oversubscribed, scaling Simplified, sharing practical strategies to create demand and scale your business. If you find it helpful, as ever, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and stay tuned for more insights to help you scale with purpose.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's a bit of pressure. I'm standing between you and an after party, a pint. This better be good, right? It better be a good presentation. It's really wonderful to be here. I love working with ScaleX. They're a great team. If you get the chance to have an opportunity to work with them, seize it, take it. I think in the week ahead, they've got one-to-one sessions where they look at you and your business and what's stopping you. Grab that opportunity. It's an excellent opportunity to take ideas and turn them into action. Okay, let's get into a little bit of content. I want to share with you some of the campaigns that we're going to be using in the year ahead and base it on some of the campaigns that have worked in 2024. So this session's a little bit different to what I would normally do. It's the first time I've actually delivered this session. In the last couple of weeks, we were just analyzing campaign after campaign for the last 12 months, pulling in all the data, having a look at all the campaigns we're running, and I just thought I'd share with you what worked for us, and I'll show you the data, and I'll show you what worked. Is everyone okay with that? Oh, 3 of you are okay with that. All right, I better change my presentation, given that only 3 people are excited. Fair enough. A little bit of background. I run a few different companies. I've got a group of 8 different companies. Score App is one of the fastest growing companies in the UK. I think we're in the top 200 fastest growing companies in the Southeast. Book Magic only launched about 6 months ago, and we're already into some really good fast growth. It's another software. It's an AI software company for writing a book. Dent Accelerators is now in its year 15, and surprisingly, it's still growing at about 40% year on year. So it just keeps scaling and scaling and scaling. It's got its own team that runs that, and I've got a couple of agencies that I own or part own. So I'm well experienced in software and education and training and agencies. So there's a group of those companies that I run. And you may have come across some of my books. If you haven't come across some of my books, I actually brought along copies for everyone today. So you've all got that book in your goodie bag, and you've got this book in your goodie bag. So a lot of the key points, if you want to delve into them, we've brought you the books so you don't have to take too many notes. Okay, so let's talk about how to win more business in 2025. What kind of year are we going to have in 2025? What's it going to be like? Who's excited? Who's optimistic for the year ahead? Who's pessimistic? Is anyone feeling like it's going to come crashing down? Some people are. If you go on Twitter, a lot of pessimism. If you go those sorts of places. It's going to be a strange year. We've got Trump back in the White House, 4 more years of Trump. We've got UK, we were celebrating a milestone of 100% debt to GDP ratio. That's a new thing for us in a while. But apparently we're robust. UK economy is at a crossroads, says KPMG. So there's a little bit of mixed feelings in the marketplace. The good news is for any business that none of it really matters. doesn't matter what the economy is doing. There's only really one thing that matters, and that is the relationship between demand and supply. Demand and supply is everything when it comes to having a successful business. You need more people who want what you have than you can possibly look after. You've got to be drowning in leads. If you're drowning in leads, if you've got lots of inquiries, you've got lots of people coming at you, it really doesn't matter. If your business has a lineup, if you are the ice cream truck with people lining up down the road, that is the fundamentals of being profitable. Right there in that slide, that's what you need to know when it comes to being a profitable business. You need people lining up to do business with you. If we were in a terrible economy and everyone agreed that it was a terrible economy, but you had a 3-month waiting list where you couldn't even look after the number of people who were waiting to do business with you in the next 3 months, we know that you're going to be profitable and successful. If we were in an amazing economy and everyone says it's a buoyant economy, but you just don't have many people dealing with you, you're having a recession personally, right? So it doesn't really matter. Everything is downstream from lead generation. If you want to scale, you need to generate more leads. Your campaigns need to be generating lots and lots of leads. My first mentor when I was 19 years old, a guy called John, he said that sentence to me. He said, Daniel, everything's downstream from lead generation. If your business can generate lots of warm leads, we can solve all the other problems after that. But if you have the world's best product or service, unfortunately, if you can't generate leads, nobody cares. It doesn't matter. So we've got to do this thing called everything's downstream from lead generation. So I've scaled 7 business. I've had 7 startups go 0 to $1 million in their first 12 months. I've had 3 businesses go north of 10 million. Let me share with you one of the fundamental things that we use when we're scaling our businesses. So it's called the 3-part year. The 3-part year is how we structure our campaigns to generate lots and lots of leads throughout the year so that we can scale. So the 3-part year looks like this. And essentially what we have is we have a baseline of activity, we have 4 quarterly campaigns, and we have a big message. So the 3 parts is one main message for the year, right? Having a big message that we're going to get out there and talk about for the year. The second part is 4 spotlight campaigns. So a quarterly spotlight campaign, something special that's happening every quarter. And campaign 3 is, or part 3 to the year, is 46 perfect repeatable weeks. So we figure out what are we going to do each week to generate those leads, and we set up at those campaigns and we crank the handle and we run those campaigns every single week. So we have a perfect repeatable week, we have spotlight campaigns on top, and then we have a big message. When we generate leads at the weekly level, sometimes people buy straight away. Some people join our database and they immediately want to talk to a salesperson. But most people aren't like that. Most people join our database and then a few months later they forget who we are. So we send them something about our spotlight campaign and then they get excited about us again. Some people hear about a spotlight campaign and then they fall into the weekly campaigns. So it works really, really nicely. Perfect repeatable weeks, quarterly spotlight campaigns, big messages. So let me just talk you through some of these. I'm going to share with you some campaigns, especially thinking about the year ahead. So the big message is essentially, what are you going to put out there on social media? What is your business going to be banging on about all year on social media? And this is about finding a key core message that you want to talk about. So for example, bookmagic.ai, the core message is the book that changes your life is not one you read, it's one that you write. Right? So we want you to write a book. So we talk about that as the core message. For Dent, we talk about in the times that we're in, you need to stand out, scale up, and make a dent in the universe. So we have these core messages that we want to share throughout the year. So the big innovation, and obviously you're going to put out lots of content, you're going to put lots of stuff online, but I do want to talk about something special that's happened just recently. So just recently, you may have noticed, if you were paying very close attention, that we had a presidential election. And US presidential elections are like the Formula One of marketing. So David Coulthard, he said that Formula One is pretty cool because it develops technology that ends up in your vehicle, it ends up in your car. The same thing can be said for the US presidential election. It develops technology that ends up in all of our businesses. So for example, in the 1930s, FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, did the fireside chat, and he pretty much launched the idea around live radio as a way to promote brands and businesses. 1960, JFK versus Nixon, and pretty much that was the first television presidential election, and that was the moment that television became very, very important to building a brand. 2008, Obama did social media, Obama Everywhere, interacting on social media, and that was the moment that social media became an important way to build a brand. 2016, Cambridge Analytica did a campaign, hyper-personalized, hyper-targeted marketing, and that was the moment that data analytics became very important in marketing. And what happened in the US presidential election that just went? What was the big standout thing that was different in this particular election? I was expecting it to be AI. I was thinking it was going to be AI. It was linked to AI. But what was the thing that really gave the Trump campaign an edge? Podcasts. Spot on. So it was podcasts. So Kamala did not do many podcasts. She did 5 podcasts, totaling a total of 3 hours worth of watch time available on YouTube, and 4 million people tuned in to watch that. Trump, on the other hand, went all in on podcasts. He did 14 podcasts with 17 hours of watch time available, and 124 million people watched those. Now, the reason that podcasts have emerged as a very important medium is because of all the technology like AI and algorithms. It's making people feel confused. It's making them feel unsure about messages. It's making them feel that they're disconnected from the truth. So when they go to the podcast, it's very alluring because it's a medium that's hard to do an AI version of it. It's hard to hack it. It's a direct, unfiltered conversation where if you want to see what Donald Trump or Kamala has to say, you can just sit down and listen to 2 to 3 hours of unedited, unfiltered conversation. And this is particularly attractive because of all the 1-minute videos and all of the, algorithmic stuff. People want to go and seek out the unfiltered stuff. So, big message for the year ahead is every single CEO who wants to scale should be on 1 to 4 podcasts every single month. I know that seems pretty crazy, but podcasts are going to be the center of your messaging. That's where you're going to get good at telling your message. It's where you're going to get good at sharing your vision. You're going to get good at origin story, mission, vision, purpose. All of that stuff is going to be talked about on these podcast episodes. There are millions of podcasts that are already set up and ready to go. You need to get out there and start connecting with people on podcasts. For some magical reason, I was actually ahead of the game on this. I went out and did podcasts for the last year or two, and I just started noticing that podcast was a really important medium and it was important to our business. And in 2024, I did 35 major podcasts, 3.7 million YouTube views, and 45 hours worth of watch time. So creating lots of content. If anyone wants to run down the rabbit hole, they can do that. Did anyone watch me on a podcast? Has anyone actually connected with me on podcast before? Yeah, nice. So it feels like we're meeting. There's a familiarity because we spent the time on podcasts together. Now, the way the podcasts work is there's a podcast pyramid. There's lots and lots and lots of podcasts that have 0 to 1,000 views each. There's a small number of podcasts that get 1 million views plus. You need to climb the podcast pyramid. You need to start at the bottom with the little podcasts that get a few hundred views, and then that will get you invited onto the bigger ones, and then that will get you invited onto the bigger ones. And by the time you get up to the top ones, you're going to have a very clear, very powerful message, and it's going to resonate with a lot of people. So you'll, like a comedian, you'll test your material on small audiences, and you'll build up to the Netflix special. So my advice for the big message is the big message: you should prioritize podcasts. You can then clip those into small clips. You can use them on other parts of social media, but this is something that you should all be doing in 2025. Okay, let's jump to the perfect repeatable week. So all of my marketing campaigns revolve around the fundamental basis of driving revenue, which we call the perfect repeatable week. We figure out what are some things that work, and we just do it over and over and over and over again, every single week, same campaign, same campaign, same campaign. One of my first businesses when I was in my early 20s, we figured out what we called an introduction event. And the introduction event was a 90-minute presentation introducing people to what we do and our business. And we ran that several times in a row, figured out that it worked. We then ran it 174 times in 12 months, and we went from $1 million to 10.7 million in 1 year. And it was just literally, we figured out what works and we just repeated it. We did it in Brisbane, then Sydney, then Melbourne, and we just repeated it. And we just do the same thing over and over. To this day, all of my companies have a perfect repeatable week as a baseline revenue driver. So what are my favorites for perfect repeatable week? First one is called an introduction event. I love introduction events. You personally know all sorts of things about your business and your customers and what they can do and the outcomes they can get. Most of you have forgotten what it's like not to know. You need to remember what it's like not to know. Put together a little presentation, an introduction to blank, and just have either yourself or your team do a weekly introduction to blank and then run that little event and people can engage with it. So here's a campaign that we ran. 9-step process, register for this event. We ran that over and over and over again. On this particular campaign, because we did it in different time zones, we had 13,466 people hit the landing page. We had 3,500 people complete the registration, so 20% conversion. And off the back of just that one campaign, £450,000 came in. This one was another one. We did 5 powerful ways to generate quality leads. And we did 18,800 people hit the site, 6,800 opted in, and we did 30,000 monthly recurring revenue off of that one campaign. So at any given time, we've got lots of different campaigns running. And essentially, we just use a very simple template for getting people to opt in, and we just edit it for whichever business that we're doing. So an introduction workshop is pretty simple, an introduction to blank, right? Find out how to achieve XYZ result faster than ever before, or better than ever before, or safer than ever before. So an introduction to blank. And essentially, once you figure this out, repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And you will scale and scale and scale and scale. The beautiful thing is that you can do these on Zoom. It used to be the case that if you wanted to have a room full of 100 people, it's going to cost you 10 grand every single week to put this thing on. Now you can have a Zoom account, 50 quid a month, and it can go right up to 500 people. So you could have 500 people a week joining you on a Zoom account for an introduction to blank. Second campaign that's been super powerful is scorecards. Scorecards are super, super powerful. I've got the book in your bag called Scorecard Marketing. Another word for scorecards is online assessments. There is something called assessment-based selling. And for many of you, an assessment-based selling model would be absolutely perfect, maybe a massive game changer. Imagine you went to the doctor, you walk into the doctor and you sit down, and the doctor says, going to put your arm in a cast. And you go, put my arm in a cast? Why are you going to put my arm in a cast? You say, well, that's what we do here. We put arms in casts. We're really good at it. We're the best. We've won awards for the arm in cast process that we've got. You're sitting going, that's a bit weird, right? Because if they haven't done an assessment to see if you need to have your arm in a cast, right, an X-ray, then you're sitting there thinking, well, wait a second, how do you know that I even need this thing? So it's the same with many of your businesses. Your customers are still on the fence as to whether they need you or not. The customer still feels that they're not quite sure whether what you do is going to be of great value to them or not. So you've got to do an assessment, right? You want to get the customer to do an assessment first, and then you can do assessment-based selling. And of course, if the doctor says, hey, look, there's the broken bone right there, we need to put your arm in a cast, of course you say, well, let's do it, right? Let's put it in. So these online assessments, you'll start seeing them more and more everywhere. The NHS has got this triage for mental health. This is a financial planner that I just saw the other day. What's your money personality? So you can take a personality type test. Has anyone here seen this one called the 5 love languages? Has anyone taken the 5 love languages? Give me a quick show of hands. Okay, those are the people who've been to couples therapy. Isn't it funny when you do the 5 love languages test and you discover about your partner and it's like, what? Words of affection? That's what you wanted all this time? I was buying you all those gifts that meant nothing to you? So love languages test, right? It's an assessment. Has anyone taken this one? 16 personalities, you answer 45 questions, tells you if you've got a personality or not. Turns out that there's 16 to choose from. 800 million people have taken that. I've got a feeling this might have been run by the CIA, Because 800 million, how the heck did they get to 800 million people who took that? So this was the big one for us. We ran the Key Person of Influence scorecard. This one's been running now for 7 or something years, and it's a benchmark your ability to influence through your personal brand. And we've got multiple versions of this. So I just captured one. I didn't go through all of them, but this is one of our versions. 53,000 people hit that site, 12,000 finished, so 26% completion rate. And we did 1.5 million pounds off that particular one. So multiple versions, but we did 1.5 million off that version. This one here is a different one we did. There's a formula for getting leads and making sales. Find out in 60 seconds how your business stacks up with this assessment. And it's called our LAP score. And 3,800 people hit that one, 1,800 finished it, so it had a really high conversion, 49% finish rate, over 10,000 monthly recurring revenue generated off that one. This is for a different business that I own called August Recognition, and it helps companies to identify an award strategy, win awards, enter for awards. And we just launched this super basic one, Are You Ready to Win a Business Award? Just to test out some ideas. 3,500 people went there, 500 people finished it, so a very small percentage, but we were able to figure out exactly who that was, who were the right people to do work with, and 450,000 worth of new business came in. This one is for Rethink Press, which is a publishing company that I own, and it's all about book publishing. So nothing sells you like a book. Are you ready to write a book that transforms your business? Take the test to see if you're ready to write a book. 1,800 people hit that website. 561 people finished it, so 34%, and about £500,000 worth of business off the back of that. So you can see here lots and lots of, what we want to have is we want to have lots of content. We want to have lots of campaigns. You've got to take an approach of we're not messing around when it comes to lead generation. We want to have all the lead generation campaigns running. The biggest problem that I see with most businesses is that you relate to your business through the supply side of what you do. When someone says, what is it that you do? You're thinking about the supply of what you do. Let's say you're a business coach. You're thinking, I coach businesses. When there's a business that needs help, I will help the business. Let's say your business is a furniture business. We manufacture furniture. We make furniture. We're doing the furniture thing all the time. And that's natural. It's normal. Most of us think about our business through the supply side, but you must, if you want to be hugely profitable, create an imbalance where there are more people who want what you do than you can possibly look after. So that means you have to relate to your business through the demand side. Imagine that part of your business is a factory, and that factory's job is to manufacture demand. Its job is to put together the pieces of demand generation, and you need to build the factory that manufactures demand on autopilot. And then you get more and more campaigns. If you think about an engine in a car, right? I'm using all my Formula One examples here today because I'm sharing a stage with David Coulthard. If you think about an engine of a car, an engine is a series of revolutions, right? We can measure in revs. And a business is a series of campaigns, lots of little campaigns where we're campaigning. So we want to get those engines going. So this one here, pretty simple. You think about the question, what do my customers want to achieve? And then we just say, are you ready to achieve that thing? So my customers want to be able to run a marathon. Are you ready to run a marathon? My customers want to lose weight. Are you ready to lose weight? My customers want to start dating. Are you ready to start dating? So whatever the customer wants to achieve as their outcome that they're imagining, are you ready to get blank? Answer 10 questions to find out. So super simple, and you can just customize those templates. Discussion groups. Discussion groups are really powerful. So what's called a common interest discussion group. A common interest discussion group is where essentially you invite people to join a group that is for people who want to discuss something that is a common interest thing to them. So we've got one for our community on Facebook, but here's some that a couple of clients created. The 5-day marathon peak performance challenge. If you're ready to run a marathon, 1,200 people are in here discussing getting ready for running a marathon. This one here from our client Gabriella, fertility breakthrough, 23,000 people joined this particular group. So she has a fertility clinic. she's just completely oversubscribed with clients because she has a group of people discussing that topic. One of our friends, Max, he wanted to connect with ultra high net worth individuals, people who've got tens of millions to invest. He created a group called the Family Office Insider Group. It's a WhatsApp group. That's all it is. It's just a group in WhatsApp, like the one that your school has for the parents, right? It's a basic group in WhatsApp. He invited 400 ultra high net worth individuals to join his WhatsApp group, and he has a collective 10 billion worth of investors in one WhatsApp group. It's absolutely wild how successful that was. So you can do these as open-ended groups, or you can do short groups. You can do a 7-day breakthrough group. How to achieve blank, get a 7-day breakthrough by joining our discussion group, right? Join the discussion group to get a breakthrough. Now, the only thing I'll say about WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups and those sorts of things is that it's very easy to just send out the link and then people won't value it, right? So imagine for a moment that you bought somebody a gift of a diamond necklace and then you gave it to them in a Tesco shopping bag. Would that go down well, right? Wouldn't be perceived as a beautiful gift, right? So it's the same. What we want to do is, even if we're going to give people the gift of joining our discussion group, if you just send them the link, they're not going to perceive it as very valuable. So what you want to do is you want to create a landing page for the discussion group. You want to make sure it feels like a special thing to be part of, right? You want to create these really nice, exciting, engaging things where people apply to be part of the discussion group and they answer a series of questions and then they get, congratulations, your application's been approved, you can join the discussion group. And if you create that, people will see it as valuable. They'll actually say, this is valuable. I'm really glad that I've been approved to be in the discussion group. So discussion groups are really, really powerful. Next one, strategy sessions. Who here runs one-to-one strategy sessions or discovery sessions? Does anyone do that? Right? So a few of you. Okay, cool. So if you run a services business or an agency, strategy sessions do the heavy lifting, all right? It's the most common way, but they drive people crazy. Just hands up again if you do strategy sessions, one-to-one strategy sessions. Who here just like, ugh, it's like endlessly having to do these free 1-hour sessions with people and it's exhausting. And the reason it's exhausting is because you don't know who's going to be on the other end of that call. When someone books a strategy session, it could be someone who sits there and says, oh, I've got 1,000 to spend and I'm really careful with my 1,000. It could be someone who says, actually, we've got $100,000 budget and we just need to spend it or else we lose it and it comes from corporate and we need to kind of get rid of it. Can you do us an invoice and we'll figure it out later, right? Could be either of those situations. If ever you've run an agency, you know that those two things can happen. So you want to be able to have a way of screening the strategy sessions. So the way we structure this is we have a landing page that explains the value of what we do and the value of a strategy session. We have a questionnaire where there's quiz questions, and then we have dynamic results that people don't realize are dynamic results that give you access to an appropriate strategy session. Let me show you what I mean. Hi, Joe. I just read your LinkedIn post. Can I pick your brains about a new idea we're exploring? Who's had an email on LinkedIn like that, and a private message? Are you guys even on LinkedIn? Right? Because if you're on LinkedIn for more than 10 minutes, you've had one of those can I pick your brains ones. Oh, by the way, who hates the saying, can I pick your brains? Right? I hate that saying. It's like, come on, it's like zombie talk right there. So, hi Joe, can I pick your brains? Imagine if you just respond like this. Oh, that sounds exciting, right? Passive-aggressive British response. That sounds exciting. Use this link to book in for a time to talk. One-to-one chat, looking forward to it. Now, what happens is people go to the link and it says, discover the strategy that's right for you, book a one-to-one. So they click and they book. But when they book, they answer some questions and it asks them a few quick questions to help make sure that we do it right. Just starting, what are we doing? So it does a few qualifying questions. And then it says, great, let's set aside an hour for a full strategy session. Here's the scheduling button right there. Or if they answer a different way, it says, let's make time to have a virtual coffee for 30 minutes, right? Or it says, fantastic, let's have a quick chat for 15 minutes. So it's basically allocating a short amount of time if they're not particularly qualified and a full hour if they are qualified. So that way your diary is not full with people who are the wrong people. It means you can just promote the strategy session, redirecting time wasters, and getting you on long calls with the people who are the ones that you want to be talking to. So those are some of the campaigns that we use for Perfect Repeatable Weeks. Every single week, we're doing introduction events, we're doing scorecard campaigns, we're doing strategy session campaigns, we're doing discussion groups that we're launching. Those are our Perfect Repeatable Week campaigns. And just leads. We never switch off the jets. I really want to encourage you to never switch off the jets. I see a lot of businesses where they run a little campaign, 600 leads come in, and they go, oh, we can never talk to all those people. We better turn off the marketing, right? And then they go through the 600, and then all of a sudden it kind of dissipates, and then they go, oh, now we better turn the marketing back on. You don't want to be doing that. You want to leave the marketing campaigns on full throttle all the time. Even if you don't get back to people, it's because you're busy. It's because we're so swamped. We've got so many opportunities coming in, right? We're drowning in leads. You want to be drowning in leads, right? Imagine a boat that tries to put the engines on, and it lifts out of the water, and then it's planing across the top, and then it switches the engines off, and it sinks back into the water, and then you have to turn the engines back on, go again, turn the engines off, sink back into the water. You don't want to be that. Once you're up and going, you want to leave it on all the time. Rolex watches, for a while, they had something like an 18-month waiting list for some of their main watches. Do you know what they did? Left the ads running. They kept the ads on every single back page of every single magazine. So they're advertising this stock. They're saying, check out the Rolex Explorer, check out the Rolex Daytona. You go, ooh, that's nice. I would like one of those. Sorry, mate, you can't have one. Isn't that strange? But they understand the value of just keeping the jets on. So you've got to keep the jets on all the time. Okay, so those are the Perfect Repeatable Week campaigns. The next level of campaigns that we want to have our quarterly spotlight campaigns. So quarterly spotlight is where we do something special. Something exciting is going to happen. Maybe a guest speaker is going to come. Maybe a new product is going to be launched. Maybe there's going to be new features. There's something new that's happening, something fresh. We're talking about something that's topical. So some things that you can do for a quarterly spotlight. And you don't want to do these every single one. You want to mix these up a bit. So you could do something called a waiting list, where you launch a waiting list for something new that's going to be coming into the future. You do a whole campaign around joining the waiting list. Do you know who does a lot of waiting list campaigns? Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the king of the waiting lists. So here's Elon Musk 3 or 4 years ago. He says, we're going to do this thing called a Cybertruck. He says, we haven't even built the factory for it yet. The factory's not going to be around for several years. He said, but here's what it's going to look like. And he created like a prototype. They wheeled it out on stage, right? They told you what the specifications would be. And then he says, if you're interested in having a Cybertruck in the future, once we build the factory, you need to join the waiting list by putting a $100 deposit down to join the waiting list. Now, what was interesting about this is that 1 million people put down a waiting list deposit. So they collected $100 million worth of waiting lists. They went to JP Morgan and they said, look at this ugly truck that we've created. And JP Morgan went, ugh. And they went, will you give us $500 million to build a factory? And JP Morgan went, no way. They said, but we've got 1 million people on a waiting list. And they said, oh, hold the phone. Yep, here you go. Here's the money. Right. So by having the waiting list, they were able to raise all the money that they needed for the campaign. So campaign here is just promote the waiting list. The cool thing about the waiting list is you don't need to even have the thing. You can say this is something we're launching in a year from now, or 2 years, or 3 years from now. You just need to have the intention of doing it. Now, my team came to me and they said, hey, we think that AI would be really cool for people to write books and that we could build an amazing tool for AI for authors. And I said to them, we do not need another startup. Like, we've got plenty of startups. There's 7 or 8 companies we've already got. We don't need another company. And they said, can we just test it? Can we do a little waitlist campaign? I said, all right, here's the deal. We'll run a little waitlist campaign, 1 post on LinkedIn. If more than 150 people join the waiting list and they signal that they're willing to pay more than £29 a month, then we'll move it to stage 2. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not going to happen. Right? It's easy to dismiss, and I'll have the data to be able to say, no, we're not doing it. So put up a little landing page. I'm working on a project to develop AI tools for authors. These don't write the book for you, but they help you to structure the book and they give you suggestions to improve the content. Are you interested in using this tool? Join the waiting list. So all we did is just had like 2 hours of a designer to design what the waiting list landing page would look like. So we created that and they went to there and they joined the waiting list. Now what was interesting is that 1,200 people clicked the link, 749 people finished it. So I was like, I didn't even want this to be 150 people. I'm like, we're going to have to do this damn thing, aren't we? And sure enough, I was like, okay, people are interested in this. But you've got no idea until you collect the data. You don't know what it's worth until you collect the data. Here's the thing that most interested me. When people join the waiting list, we asked them about 6 questions. One of the questions was about price. How much would you expect to pay per month for a tool that will enable you to write a brilliant book quickly and easily? Now, we were thinking £29 would be like the upper limit of what people would pay. We were expecting people to say less than that. Sure enough, 46% of people said less than £30, but that was really surprising because we had 5% of people say more than £100. 35% people said £30 to £60. £60 to £100 wasn't unpopular either, with 14%. So what was wild is we ended up launching the product at £59 a month. We were prepared to launch it for £29 a month, but the data said go in at £59 a month, which was quite shocking. Had we not asked that question, by the time we get to our first 1,000 users, we would be missing out on £30,000 per month worth of revenue just by not asking the question, what is the appropriate price? So we launched it. We now have, we launched it. At the moment, we haven't run any outside marketing campaigns. We just went back to the original database who said that they wanted the product, and we signed up an initial £17,000 a month of recurring revenue just from the people who joined the waiting list once it launched. Another waiting list campaign that was successful was this one here. We categorically knew at ScoreApp that we were going to be launching AI tools. There was no question that AI tools were coming. We were building them. I saw them behind the scenes. They looked amazing. I was super excited. And I'm like, these are great. I can't wait to get these out and just get this live. However, I know that people don't naturally value things unless they've kind of like done the little dance first. So we thought, all right, let's do the little dance. So rather than just launching the AI tools straight away, we said we're going to have a beta group of people who get to have first access to the AI tools. Would you like to have early access to the AI tools? Join the waiting list to be one of the first to have access to the AI tools. So this is people opting in, saying, yes, I want this thing, right? It's coming and I'd like to have it. So what was really interesting here is that we engaged 3,200 people who clicked the page, 1,900 people opted in for early access, so 63% opt-in rate. So it gave us the ability to promote something new to our database, to get people excited, to get people to say they wanted something, then for us to respond to it, do the little bit of a dance, and we got way more engagement as a result. So rather than just making a feature live, we did the little campaign around that feature. We estimated an extra $7,500 a month from new business off the back of just running that little waiting list rather than just simply making the features go live. Does anyone here intend to write a book in the year ahead in 2025? Is anyone going to do a book? Oh yeah, a few people, fantastic. So let me encourage you, if you're going to write a book, just make a waiting list for the book. As soon as you know you're definitely going to do it, don't wait until the book is ready in order to write the book, in order to start promoting it. Launch the waiting list for the book as soon as you know that it's ready. Is anyone here planning on running a workshop? They want to do a workshop in the year ahead. Yep. As soon as you, don't find a venue, don't find a speaker, don't find anything like that. Just run a waiting list campaign for the workshop. Right? So super, super easy. Get people to engage. It's so much easier to sign people up to a waiting list because they don't have to check the dates, they don't have to check the venues, they don't have to check anything, they don't have to pay anything. They only have to be 10% sure that they want to come to your workshop in order to join the waiting list. So it's a super, super powerful campaign. Think about it like this. A new approach to blank, join the waiting list for more information. A new approach to something that you offer, right? A new approach to blank, join the waiting list. So whatever it is you do, right? A new approach to sales, join the waiting list. A new approach to healthcare, join the waiting list. Right? So you don't have to give people much information, but just get them to signal that they're interested. Second spotlight campaign is a special event. I really encourage you throughout the year, throw together some special events. For the last 20 years, I've been doing special events with people. We've had the dragons from Dragon's Den and all of that sort of stuff. Guys, my slides are out of order. So what I'm seeing here is a little bit different. If you guys can just sync those up. There we go. Cool, thank you. So, special events could be a guest speaker, any of those sorts of things. Sorry, the slide went out of order, but look, 1,200 people came along to a special event and an extra 6,000 MRR from that. We just did a special event. Chris Doe, he was in London. It was actually really cool. I just saw a photo that he posted. I saw a post that he did on LinkedIn saying, I'll be in London. And I dropped him a message and said, Chris, on the evening of your event, can I put on an event with 200 people who'll come along in London? And he said, sure, I'm already going to be in London. So we just reached out to him. We said, let's do it. We put together a landing page. We created a special event. And we had 200 people show up. So super easy. You want to create something that's exciting and re-engaging. Find a guest speaker. Find a special topic that people want to talk about. Now, you don't have to do these in physical locations. We've done lots of special events on Zoom where we have a guest speaker on Zoom. We interview them on Zoom. We have 300 or 400 people on a Zoom call, and it's a special event, and we promote it as a special event. It re-engages people. You've got to keep reminding people that you exist. People have got like goldfish memories these days, right? You've got to keep reminding them that you exist. A lot of people, you think people know about you and remember you because they saw you 3 months ago. They've completely forgotten about you. Do you know the average person scrolls the height of the Eiffel Tower every month on short videos? So you know those short videos on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok? The height of the Eiffel Tower in thumb movements every single month, right? So people have got this has gotten rid of people's memories. They forget that you exist. You've got to give people reasons to remember that you exist. Okay, the next one is mini courses. So mini courses, this acknowledges the problem that many of your clients just simply have a gap in their understanding, which is preventing them from buying from you. So a lot of people want to buy from you. They want the outcome that you offer, but they just don't understand how it works enough to trust it. So there's just some sort of a gap that's missing. And a big problem that entrepreneurs and business leaders have and marketers have is that they assume that the customers are mind readers, that they already understand that you've got case studies and stories and examples, that you understand how things work. And the truth is the customer isn't a mind reader. If they already knew this stuff, they would have already bought from you. So if people knew what you know, they would buy. Remember that. That's a really powerful idea. If people knew what you know, they would buy from you. If they knew what was in your head, if they knew the case studies and the stories and the pillars and the steps and the roadmap and the plan and the pathway and how reliable it is and how guaranteed the results are and all of those sorts of things, if they knew that information, they would have already bought. So the reason they haven't bought from you is because they have gaps in their awareness, they have gaps in their knowledge. So your job is to create a mini course that fills in those gaps. Now, a mini course can typically be 3 to 5 videos totaling 20 to 30 minutes. That's it. 3 to 5 videos, 20 minutes of content. Our most successful one is this one, which is a 22 minutes of video. So it's 4 videos that total 22 minutes. And this one was interesting. 59,000 people hit that landing page. 16,000 people opted in for the mini course. And it generated a minimum of 40,000 monthly recurring revenue just by people watching those videos and just going through that little mini course. We did one for Rethink Press. So Lucy did get published, and it was just understanding the steps to getting published, and I think it was a total of about 30 minutes worth of videos. We just did an email back to people who had dropped out of our marketing, 500 visitors, 395, 81% of people came back to learn the information that they felt was missing. I did one as well, and 64% of people came back to relearn the information that was missing. So people really want that little bit of information that helps them to fill the gaps. Now, the big buying behavior change that's happening in 2025 is that most people struggle, or just especially Gen Z, they just will not talk to a human being. They don't want to talk to humans until maybe the last possible minute. So, like, I think about myself as a teenager. When I wanted to buy a guitar, the first thing I would do is go down to the guitar shop and talk to the guy who's the guitar guy, and we talk about guitars, and he tells me this is a Gibson, and this is a Fender, and this is an Ibanez, and we're playing around with guitars. That's not what Gen Z do anymore. It's actually not what a lot of people do anymore. What people do today, they research online, they build their knowledge, they learn, and at the very, very, very end, then they might talk to a human being once they've done a bit of their own education. You've got to make it easy for people to do their own education. So super simple, create yourself a little mini course. It doesn't have to be over the top, 20 minutes worth of education designed to fill in those little light bulb moments, fill in the gaps in their knowledge. Next one, spotlight campaign around a book or a report. So you could collect some data, launch a report, put it into a PDF document, give it to a graphic designer, pay them 1 day's worth of design fees. They're going to send you back a beautifully designed PDF that is a report with all your data in it. People can opt in to have access for the data. Or, if you're really adventurous, a book. I believe that the book that changes your life is not one you read, it's one that you write. It's really, really powerful to write a book. It positions you as an authority, and it allows you to go out and talk to people. If you want to scale your business, having a book is a very powerful tool. The key to using a book for scaling a business is giving away 1,000 copies per year. Nothing is more super, super powerful. Write a book and give away 1,000 copies every year for 5 to 10 years. It's a game changer. Once again, Gabriella, who had the fertility clinic, this is her standing on top of 4,000 books. She got a Harvard award from Harvard University for her research into fertility, so she's super, super expert at what she does. But when you publish a document for Harvard, it's just read by people who are already your peers anyway. It's not read by your customers, it's read by your peers. So she decided to take her knowledge and write the book called Fertility Breakthrough. And when she'd written it, she said, Dan, how do I sell more books? I said, forget about trying to sell books. Every time you sell our book, you get $1. Why don't you just give away 1,000 copies and see how much money comes in as a result of people reading the book? So she gave away 1,000 copies, and she had a trackable link in there, and about $1 million came in as a result of giving away 1,000 books. So the following year, she said, oh, that works so well. What should I do? And I said, give away 2,000 copies. So she gave away 2,000 copies, and $2 million came in. And she gave away 4,000 copies in year 3, and $4 million came in. That's her standing on top of 4,000 copies. Every time she gives away 1,000 copies, about $1 million worth of new business comes in. It beats the hell out of $4,000 worth of royalties. If you're trying to sell books. So you don't try and sell books, you give books away. They're like a business development manager. This is one of our campaigns, request a free physical copy of Scorecard Marketing. 18,000 people found that website. 9,700 finished that, 53% opt-in rate, and more than 40,000 monthly recurring revenue off that campaign. Super simple, set up a waiting list for that. Seasonal focus, the next seasonal campaign. Every quarter there's a new thing, right? We've got a season, we've got different events that are happening. Seasonal focus, the next big one that's coming up is Black Friday, right? So we create Black Friday offers because that is of the season. And, I know it's a bit of an American thing, but it's actually a great way to launch into new markets. It's a great way to clear old stock. It's a great way to re-engage your database. So Black Friday campaign. Is anyone here running a service business, coaching, consultant, agency, anything like that? Here's an adventurous campaign for you. It's probably going to put butterflies in your tummy thinking about whether you should do it or not, but I'm going to encourage you to try this next adventurous campaign. This campaign is one that you send out now. You've got to send it out next week. And you basically say, I'm fully booked for the rest of the year. We're not taking on any more clients for the rest of the year. But if you'd like to work with us in 2025, join the waiting list. This is a bit of a power move. Now, of course, when you say we're fully booked because it's your business. You can make the rules. We're not taking on any more clients for 2024. It's your business. You can make the rules. We're not taking on any more clients for 2024. But this is super powerful. You email the whole database and say, we're not taking on any more clients for 2024. We're booked up for the end of the year. But if you want to work with us next year, join the waiting list. It's very powerful because it sets a tone of authority. It gets people to engage with you early for work that they want to do next year. It's really, really powerful because most of your best clients, if you're in the services industry, they need 6 to 8 to 12 weeks to think about it anyway. So why not just frame the buying cycle as, well, we're booked. We're not taking on any more clients. So super, super powerful. We're the fully booked campaign. So all of these campaigns are very simple. They all follow the same blueprint. The same blueprint is that we have a landing page that explains what the campaign is. We have a series of questions that people answer, and then we give people something based on how they answer. That's as simple as it is. We're not talking about hugely sophisticated stuff. It's pretty simple. If you want to find out all the details, I've given you the book. All of that information is in the book. It covers a little bit of buying psychology and all of that sort of stuff in the book. And all of those templates are free on ScoreApp if you create yourself a free account. It's really important that you start getting onto the front foot with this. We are living through some pretty remarkable times. So in 2010, 6.9 billion people on the planet, and 29% of them were online with fast internet access. In 2025, we've got 8 billion people on the planet and 67% of them are online with fast internet access. You seriously need to be on the front foot with this thing. This is a double-edged sword, right? Double-edged sword. Let me explain what I mean by double-edged sword. If you think of yourself as a supplier and you're good at supply, unfortunately what it does is it places you side by side with every other person on the planet who talks about what you talk about. So you are now drowning in a sea of noise. You're trying to stand out. It's exhausting being side by side with every competitor. You're not just with every competitor in your industry, you're in competition with everyone who wants to talk to the same customers you want to talk to because everyone's got the megaphone, everyone's shouting. So it creates a race to the bottom. It creates hyper-competitive behaviors. And it's exhausting and it's almost dehumanizing. Now, on the flip side, if you're damn good at generating demand, if you build the skill of generating demand and you have a series of campaigns like the ones that I've just shown you, it puts you side by side with all the potential customers you could ever want. So when you think of yourself on the supply side of what you do, you're shoulder to shoulder with every other supplier. When you get good at the demand side, you're having instant direct access to more people you could ever imagine. So the big takeaway here is you as the entrepreneur, you as the founder, you as the business leader, you have to do the demand side. 100 years ago, Henry Ford was super successful because he mastered the art of supply side, right? He was all about the production line, the factory. That doesn't work anymore. The whole schooling system was designed to teach you how to be a good little component labor and to work on the supply side of what you do. You must master the art of manufacturing demand now. Think back to the industrial age. If someone set up a factory manufacturing scissors in the industrial age, in say late 1800s, they would be able to manufacture those scissors and they would just be selling. If you could make it, people would buy it. If you had the physical ability to create something, you'd find the buyers because there wasn't enough stuff. If you were to manufacture scissors today and you go onto Amazon and put your scissors on Amazon, there's like 75 different pairs of scissors that you could buy, right? So you'd be basically going broke pretty quick. Today's economy is all about the ability to manufacture demand for something, right? I know that what you love is manufacturing the supply. I know you love doing what you do. I know that you relate to your business through the supply side. But you as the founder, you as the entrepreneur, you as the business leader, you must start to relate to your business through the demand manufacturing side. The truth is that you hire the team to do the supply side. The team does the supply, you do the demand generation. If you had figured out how to generate lots and lots and lots of business for brain surgery, and people were opting in for brain surgery campaigns, you would be able to find brain surgeons to do the brain surgery. You'd be able to get somebody else to do the brain surgery. The brain surgeons are available. It's the ability to manufacture the demand for something. Now, it's the same with your business. Whatever you think is hard about your business, it's not that hard, right? The supply side is easy. For most of you, or maybe there's one exception in the room. Obviously, Elon Musk launching rockets that land on boats, that's probably a hard supply side problem. So with the exception of Elon Musk, right, we'll put that aside. But for most of you, it's the demand side that is valuable because it's the hard thing. The hard thing is the demand side. So you've got to treat every lead as an asset. Every lead is the thing that is making your business special. Every lead is the thing that is making your business stand out. Leads will change your life. You can have the exact same business with twice the number of leads and your life will change. You can have the exact same business with 10 times the number of leads coming in. Your life will seriously change. If you've got 10 times more leads, you'll end up with a bigger house, a better car, and more holidays and all that sort of stuff. If you just turn that lead generation tap on, life changes rapidly. Let me just quickly skip past the Q&A. I want to mention this final little thought. 300 years ago, we lived in the agricultural age. And there was a book that was written about capitalism called Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. And he said there's 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, enterprise. And the economy for that time was driven around this thing called land, right? If you owned land, you were financially successful. If you owned land, that was the most important thing. So in order to be successful, you had to be born into a family that had fertile land, livestock, and crops. And then technology changed things. Technology said, actually, it's all about labor and capital now. We're going to have factories. And we fought actual wars about which was more important, right? Socialism versus capitalism. Basically, socialists were saying, hey, the labor side of the equation is more important than the capital. And the capitalists were saying the capital side of the equation is more important than the labor. And essentially, we had those two things in the industrial age. Those were the two dominant things. It didn't matter that much if you owned land. If you owned land, you were not as wealthy as someone who had a small amount of land with a factory on it. So that was the industrial age. So the key to wealth in that was the factory, the machinery, the materials, right? All of that. We don't live in that age anymore. We live in the final part of the equation, which is the enterprise, the digital age. Enterprise means the ability to take something to market. So land is not important. You can be anywhere in the world, selling to anyone, anywhere in the world. Labor and capital, we don't need lots of businesses anymore. We don't need a lot of that anymore. And the reason I say we don't need a lot of that anymore, Score App, one of my companies, we raised less than $1 million worth of capital. We have less than 30 people on the team. We have 9,000 customers in 152 countries. So labor and capital are not massively important, but enterprise is really important. It's the ability to leverage intellectual property, media, data, and technology to take stuff out to market. So originally the farmers were the very wealthy, then it was the industrialists that are very wealthy, and now it's the turn of the entrepreneurs to be very wealthy, right? It's the entrepreneurs. It's the entrepreneurs are the people who are the ones who are good at enterprise. But what is the job of an entrepreneur? I think Steve Jobs said it best. He said, the job of an entrepreneur is to put a dent in the universe, or else why even bother? And a dent in the universe means go out there, solve a meaningful problem, do something important, and solve meaningful problems at scale, right? Get your business into the hands of more people. I hope you found that interesting. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the bar.